I never expected a tiny USB drive to shatter everything I knew about my family. But there it was, tucked away in the false bottom of my father's desk drawer, covered in dust but labeled clearly in his precise handwriting. Sarah, never delete. The office still smelled like Dad's pipe tobacco 3 weeks after his heart attack. Mom had asked me to clean it out, claiming she couldn't bear to do it herself. Now, standing there with the USB drive in my trembling hands, I wondered if there was another reason she'd avoided this room. I'd spent the morning sorting through decades of my father's life, tax returns, old photographs, half-finished crossword puzzles. The false bottom had only revealed itself when I accidentally dropped his favorite paperweight and it hit the drawer at just the right angle to make the wood shift. My laptop hummed to life as I inserted the drive. A single video file appeared, dated June 15, 1988, 2 years before I was born. The thumbnail showed a hospital room. I hesitated before clicking play. Dad had never mentioned anything significant about 1988. Mom always said those were their quiet years before they had me. But something about that label, never delete, made my stomach twist. The video started shakily, clearly shot on an old camcorder. The hospital room came into focus and there was my mom, looking so young, her dark hair splayed across the pillow. She was holding a baby wrapped in a pink blanket. Say hello to the camera, Sarah. Dad's voice came from behind the lens, younger but unmistakably his. Mom looked up and I gasped. She was crying. I can't, she whispered. Please, James, turn it off. We need this, Dad insisted gently, for later. Say goodbye to our daughter. Goodbye? My fingers froze on the mousepad. The baby in the video, a sister I never knew existed, made a soft cooing sound. Mom pressed her lips to the tiny forehead, her tears falling onto the blanket. I love you so much, she whispered to the baby. I'm so sorry. I hope someday you'll understand. The video ended abruptly, leaving me staring at my reflection in the black screen. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely close the laptop. A sister. I had a sister. The sound of the front door opening downstairs jolted me back to reality. Emma? Mom's voice called out. I brought lunch. I quickly pocketed the USB drive and tried to compose myself. How could I face her knowing what I just discovered? How many times had we looked through family albums together, and she'd never once mentioned another baby? Up here, I managed to call back, my voice only slightly unsteady. Mom appeared in the doorway, holding a paper bag from our favorite deli. She looked exactly as she had that morning. Neat gray hair, sensible cardigan, kind smile. But suddenly, she seemed like a stranger. How's it going up here? She asked, surveying the piles of papers I'd sorted. Fine, I said, watching her carefully. Just found some old photos. Oh, she set the bag down and reached for the stack of photographs on the desk. Your father could never throw anything away. I studied her face as she flipped through the pictures, but there was no reaction, no hint of hidden pain, just nostalgic smiles as she commented on old vacation shots and school portraits. Mom, I started, then stopped. How do you ask your mother about a secret sister? About a baby she gave away? About years of lies? She looked up, concerned. What is it, sweetheart? The weight of the USB drive seemed to burn in my pocket. Did you and Dad? Did you ever want more children, besides me? Something flickered across her face, so brief I almost missed it. Fear? Grief? But then she smiled, the same smile I trusted my whole life. No, honey, you were all we ever wanted. She reached out and squeezed my hand. You were our miracle. The lie felt like a physical blow. I pulled my hand away, pretending to reach for more papers. I should get back to sorting, I said. There's still so much to go through. Of course, she stood straightening her cardigan. Don't forget to eat lunch. As her footsteps retreated down the stairs, I pulled out the USB drive and stared at it. Dad had kept this hidden for over 30 years. Had he wanted to tell me? Is that why he left it where I might find it? I thought about the baby in the video, my sister. Where was she now? Did she know about me? Did she wonder about us the way I was now wondering about her? My phone buzzed with a text from my best friend, Kate, still on for dinner tonight. I stared at the message, my mind racing. Kate worked as a private investigator. She had access to databases, records. Actually, I typed back, can you come over? There's something I need your help with. I took one last look around Dad's office at the life he carefully documented and the secrets he just as carefully hidden. By tonight, I have Kate searching for my sister, and soon I confront Mom with the truth. But as I stood to leave, something caught my eye. On Dad's bulletin board, partially hidden behind a calendar, was a small photo I'd never noticed before. A young woman, maybe in her early 20s, with eyes exactly like mine. On the back, in Dad's handwriting, Sarah, 2010. My hands trembled as I unpinned it. All these years he'd been watching over her, keeping tabs on the daughter they'd given away, the sister I should have grown up with. And now finally, I was going to find out why. Kate arrived just after sunset, carrying her laptop and the determined expression I'd seen her wear on tough cases. I texted her the basics, found USB, secret sister, need help. But seeing the video was different. Play it again, she said, scribbling notes as we huddled in my childhood bedroom. Mom was downstairs watching TV, oblivious to the investigation happening above her head. I clicked play, watching my mother's tearful goodbye for the 10th time that day. Each viewing revealed new details. A nurse's voice in the background mentioning adoption papers, Dad's hand briefly appearing to stroke the baby's cheek, the way Mom kept whispering, "I love you," even after the video cut out. Okay, Kate said finally, pulling up a database on her laptop. June 15, 1988. City General Hospital. Let's see what we can find. While she typed, I showed her the photo I'd found. Dad was tracking her. He knew where she was in 2010. That helps narrow things down. Kate's fingers flew across the keyboard. A lot of adoption records from the 80s are sealed, but... She paused, squinting at the screen. Hold on. There's something weird here. What? The hospital records from that week. There's a birth certificate for a Sarah Matthews, but it's marked deceased 2 days later. My stomach dropped. But that can't be right. The photo. Exactly. Kate leaned back, her investigator instincts firing. Someone falsified those records. They wanted it to look like the baby died. Before I could process this, my phone buzzed. Mom's text. Coming up to say goodnight. Quick, I whispered, closing the laptop as footsteps approached. Kate shoved her notes into her bag just as Mom appeared in the doorway. Oh, hello, Kate. I didn't know you were here. Just helping Emma sort through some things, Kate said smoothly, but Mom's eyes had already locked onto the photo in my hand. The color drained from her face. Where did you get that? Her voice was barely a whisper. Dad's office, I said, watching her carefully. Along with this, I held up the USB drive. Mom gripped the doorframe like she might fall. You weren't supposed to. He promised he'd destroy. The video of you giving away my sister. The words came out sharper than I intended. Or the fake death certificate. She staggered to my bed, sinking down onto it. For a long moment, she just stared at her hands, shoulders shaking. Kate quietly gathered her things and slipped out, giving me a supportive squeeze as she passed. Her name was Sarah, Mom finally said. Is Sarah? She's alive. I know that much. What I don't know is why you lied to me my entire life. Mom looked up, tears streaming down her face. To protect you both. You don't understand what it was like back then. Your grandfather. What about him? He controlled everything, the family business, our lives, our future. When I got pregnant with Sarah, he said she'd ruin everything. The company was merging with our biggest competitor through an arranged marriage, me marrying their CEO's son. I stared at her. But you married Dad. Because he helped me escape. He wasn't the man my father chose, but he loved me. Loved us. When Sarah was born, Grandfather threatened to make sure we'd never work again, never have a life anywhere. Unless you gave her up. Mom nodded, wiping her eyes. We faked her death certificate so he couldn't track her. Found a loving family through a private adoption. Your father, he insisted on keeping tabs on her, making sure she was safe, happy. I couldn't bear to look, but he watched over her all these years. And then you had me. 2 years later, after Grandfather died, we were finally free. She reached for my hand. Emma, you have to understand. We wanted to tell you so many times, but we'd signed papers promising never to contact Sarah or reveal her existence. Breaking that agreement could have ruined her life, her adoptive family's lives. I pulled away, anger and confusion warring inside me. So you just pretended she never existed. Let me grow up thinking I was an only child while my sister was out there somewhere. We thought we were protecting you both. From what? The truth. I stood up, pacing the room. She's in her 30s now, Mom. The adoption agreement can't still be binding. She has a right to know about her birth family. I have a right to know my sister. Mom's face crumpled. Please, Emma. She has her own life, her own family. What if she doesn't want to know us? What if contacting her only causes her pain? What if she's been wondering about us her whole life? What if she needs answers just like I do? I held up the photo. Dad kept this for a reason. He wanted me to find it. A long silence filled the room. Finally, Mom whispered. Her adoptive parents named her Rebecca. Rebecca Chen. That's all I know. I grabbed my phone, texting Kate immediately. Rebecca Chen, born Sarah Matthews, June 1988. I'm going to find her, I told Mom. With or without your help. She nodded slowly, looking suddenly old and tired. Your father, he kept a box. In his desk at work. I think he was gathering things for her. Photos, letters, memories, in case this day ever came. Why didn't he tell me before he died? He tried. Mom's voice broke. That last week in the hospital, he kept asking for you, but you were stuck in London on business. He wanted to make things right. My phone buzzed with Kate's response. Found her. Living in Boston. You're not going to believe what she does for a living. I looked at the message, then at my mother, then at the photo of the sister I never knew. Dad's last gift to us wasn't just the truth. It was the chance to finally become whole. I'm going to Boston, I said. Mom stood shakily. Emma, wait. No more waiting. No more secrets. I grabbed my laptop, already planning what to pack. It's time Sarah, Rebecca, knew she had a sister. And it's time I knew her too. The irony wasn't lost on me as I stood outside Boston Children's Hospital. According to Kate's research, my sister, Dr. Rebecca Chen, was a genetic counselor here, helping families navigate their own DNA mysteries. She specializes in hereditary diseases, Kate had told me during my flight. And get this, she runs a support group for adoptees searching for their birth families. Now, watching through the hospital's glass doors, I caught my first glimpse of her. The photo Dad kept was 12 years old, but I'd have known her anywhere. She had Mom's height, Dad's way of walking, and when she smiled at a passing nurse, I saw my own dimples. My phone buzzed. Mom, are you sure about this? Me, too late. I'm here. Mom, tell her I'm sorry for everything. Taking a deep breath, I walked inside. Rebecca was at the nurse's station, reviewing a chart. Her dark hair was pulled back in a neat bun, a stethoscope hanging around her neck. Everything about her radiated competence and calm, until she looked up and saw me. The chart slipped from her hands. I know who you are, she said before I could speak. I saw Dad's obituary. Of all the reactions I'd imagined, this wasn't one of them. You knew about us. She glanced around, then gestured toward her office. Not here. The office was warm, filled with family photos. I tried not to stare at them as she closed the door. I found my adoption records 5 years ago, she explained, sitting behind her desk. James Matthews was listed as a contact in case of medical emergencies. When I saw his picture in the obituary, she pulled out her phone, showing me a saved article. You look just like him. Why didn't you contact us? I did. Sort of. She opened her desk drawer and withdrew a letter. I wrote this 3 years ago, never sent it. How do you tell a stranger they're your sister? I smiled weakly. I've been asking myself the same question all week. The USB drive, she asked. You know about that too. Dad James, he came to see me in 2010, said he had to respect the adoption agreement, but wanted me to know they had their reasons. He mentioned leaving something that would explain everything. My hands shook as I pulled out the drive. Want to watch it together? She nodded, and I placed my laptop between us. As the video played, I watched her face instead of the screen. She touched her throat when she heard Mom's voice, blinked rapidly when Dad spoke. I always wondered if they wanted me, she whispered as Mom's tearful goodbye played. If they ever thought about me. Dad thought about you every day. I showed her the photo from his bulletin board. He kept track of your achievements, probably knew every time you moved, every degree you earned. That's why he came in 2010, she said softly. Right after I finished medical school. Said he was proud of me but couldn't explain why. Now I understand. We sat in silence, two strangers connected by blood and secrets, trying to bridge 35 years of separation. I have a daughter, she said suddenly. Emily, she's 6. That's partly why I never sent the letter. I couldn't risk disrupting her life if our family didn't want to know me. Mom wants to meet you, I said. She's terrified you'll hate her, but she wants to explain everything. About grandfather, the forced marriage, how Dad helped her escape. Rebecca leaned forward. Tell me everything. So I did. About Mom's controlling father, the faked death certificate, Dad's silent vigilance over her life. With each revelation, another piece of her past fell into place. I counsel people through genetic discoveries every day, she said when I finished. Help them understand their DNA stories. But I never imagined my own story would end up in my office. Is that why you chose this field? She nodded. I always felt this pull toward helping people understand their biological connections. Now I know why. Her office phone buzzed. Receptionist. Dr. Chen, your 3 o'clock is here. I have to go, she said, standing. But Emma, thank you. For finding me, for bringing me the truth. Have dinner with me? I asked quickly. I'm here all weekend. We have 35 years to catch up on. She smiled. Dad's smile, I realized with a pang. I'd like that. And maybe someday soon. I'd like to meet Mom too. She'd love that. At the door, she paused. You know what's strange? All these years helping others find their biological families, I told them DNA doesn't make a family, love does. But standing here with you, seeing Dad's eyes and Mom's smile, I finally understand. Sometimes DNA is just love written in a different language. I hugged her, the sister I just met but somehow always known. Dad would have loved that line. Tell me about him, she asked. Over dinner? Everything, I promised. And you can tell me about Emily. I've always wanted to be an aunt. Walking out of the hospital, I texted Mom. She wants to meet you. When you're ready. Mom's response came quickly. I've been ready for 35 years. I looked back at the building where my sister helped others understand their genetic stories, never knowing her own was waiting to be told. Dad had given us one final gift, the truth that set us all free. Some families are born. Some are chosen. And some, like ours, are rebuilt from the pieces of a broken past, stronger for having been put back together.